Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bree Myself and God channel, where I'm bringing you all things Bree and all things God. And welcome to the fourth and final episode of the Cuffing Season Chronicles. This series has been covering topics all related to relationships in honor of the fact that it's that time of year when relationships are on everyone's mind anyway. And it's been really fun so far. The first episode I did in this series was called 5 Signs He's Wasting Your Time, Sis. The next week we did 5 things to do when it doesn't work out. The next week we did 5 ways to know if you're ready for a relationship. And this week we are focusing on the dreaded topic during cuffing season, which is singleness. Because let's face it, not all of us, maybe not even a majority of us, are cuffed right now. And we might have some feelings about that. And we might have some things that we're believing about that are not helping us to live our best lives. So the title of this video is 5 Lies We Need to Stop Believing About Singleness. So let's get to it. Lie number 1. One of the top things that we need to stop believing about singleness and believing about ourselves when we're single is that I'm single because I'm not good enough. How many times when you see other people getting wifed up, getting proposed to, settling down into a relationship, do we start to feel like, man, am I not in a relationship because something's wrong with me? Is it because I'm not pretty enough? Is it because I'm not accomplished enough? Is it because I don't have enough appeal to people? Do I not know how to present myself in a way that's attractive for people to see my worth? And the truth of the matter is, it's likely none of those things. There are so many factors that influence whether someone ends up in a relationship, many of which, in my opinion, are up to chance and destiny. A lot of times, some people find their person when they're 20, maybe they were meant to. Some people find their person when they're 35, maybe they were meant to. The fact that you're not in a relationship right now is no reflection on the quality of person that you are or the quality of partner that you would be. There's probably lots of factors that are just out of your control. So just keep being you and keep being amazing. And just remember that you being single, nothing wrong with you. That's number 1. Number 2. The second lie that we often believe when we're single is that the person that I want doesn't exist or may never come into my life. You may think that your standards are too high and that there's really probably a very small chance that someone who meets all the things that you're really looking for will ever come into your life. And this can feed feelings of hopelessness during our season of singleness. This can feed feelings of wanting to just settle for whomever during our season of singleness. But here's the thing, you exist. And I bet that you match a lot of things that you're looking for. And there might be someone out there looking for someone just like you, wondering if that person exists, but you're out here. And so just trust that your equal is out there, and it's just a matter of time before you all meet. I know especially for women, they can always feel like there's more good women than good men, or more good Christian women, or more good Black women, or don't get me started on Black Christian women. It can feel like we outnumber our guys, and that is a tough thing to deal with. The statistics that my mom always says, you don't need a bunch of people. You don't need a bunch of men. You don't need a bunch of people who meet your standards. You just need one. So just trust and believe that there's that one out there. And the reason that's so important is because you need to know that your one is out there so that you don't settle for that 2 or that 3 or that 4 or that 25 who's like way, way, way down the list of what you're really looking for, but you just feel like maybe this is all I can get. No, baby. Relationships are the last thing that you want to settle on. The person that you choose to be your partner, that could be one of the most important decisions that you make, because that might end up being the other parent to your kids. That might end up being the most intimate relationship that you have. So that's not the area where you want to settle because you think what you're looking for is impossible. As long as your standards are reasonable and good, then hold on to them and trust that the right one is coming. Okay? Number 3, the third lie we need to stop believing about relationships is that it's harmless to pass time with counterfeits. So some of y'all don't have any problem with believing that the right one is coming down the line. You believe there's a Mr. Right out there for you, but you feel like ain't no problem, ain't no issue with hanging out with Mr. Right now. Now, everyone can decide their own approach to this. I'm just going to share my perspective. My perspective is that there are some hidden harms that can come from too loosely engaging with Mr. or Mrs. Right now. I think that one of the main things is that you can just become really entangled. You might think that it's just something casual. You might think that it's something chill and it's not going to have a big impact on you. And next thing you know, you're whole sprung and this person does not have potential to be what you need them to be, but you're completely in love with them. It's hard for you to detach from them. And I find that, when we bind emotionally, romantically with people, it can be hard to detach, and that can create baggage and scars from those attaching and detaching. So that's one issue. Another thing is that it can distract you and make you unavailable for when Mr. Right or Mrs. Right does want to come along. You might be so busy dealing with Mr. or Mrs. Right now that you're just not even in a position to recognize or receive that into your life. And not only that, but you're spending all this time with all these people in and out of your life that you didn't even have the proper time or space to just focus on you, just get to know you, just to build up you, to really prepare for the relationship that you really want. And the other thing is that, giving people access to you who don't meet your standards, sometimes it might seem harmless in the moment, but you're actually giving that person an opportunity to cause damage in your life. They might end up hurting you. They might end up distracting you. Shoot, they could end up trapping you. If y'all end up with a baby or something like that, that might have been Mr. Right now, but now that's Mr. next 18 years. So plus, because parenting is a lifetime commitment. So you don't want to just move lightly with how you engage with people romantically just because you're single. My favorite thing to remind myself is just because I'm single doesn't mean I should be available to just anybody. So that's number 3. The fourth lie that we often believe when it comes to singleness is that my life isn't complete until I have a romantic partner. And that is just not true. Especially in the church, there's such a culture around this idea of preparing for marriage. Like marriage is just the pinnacle of life. And that's just not right. We don't spend our 20s treating it like we're waiting for our 30s. You don't spend your 30s waiting for your 40s. Every season of your life has value unto itself. You don't go into turning 24 like, all right, time to spend this next year waiting till I'm 25. Like, no, that's not what 24 is about. 24 is its own year. Similarly, singleness is its own season. It's not just a waiting period for a relationship. It's a whole time of your life that you don't know how long it'll last, and you don't want to spend it twiddling your thumbs or feeling anxious about when you're going to be in a relationship, because there's so much value in your life right now, regardless of whether that other person is there. And so just know that your single season is not just happening because of the unfortunate absence of a partner. There is purpose in your single season. There's a reason why you're single. It might really be needed in your life right now. It might be the case that you need this space to focus on you, that you need this space to actually detox from always depending on the affirmation and the attention and the affection of someone in a romantic way. It might be the case that you need to get to know you. And so as a matter of fact, you might want to pray or think about the possibility of intentionally having time to be single. I actually did this back in 2017 going into 2018 because summer of 2017, I had a wild summer in DC. I was clearly desperate for attention and affection from men, and I just needed space to heal and figure out what was going on with me in that season. So I dedicated what first was 90 days, but eventually turned into almost a full year to say, I'm just going to be single. I'm just going to focus on Bree. I'm just going to focus on my relationship with God. I'm not going to allow myself to be available to these men. I wasn't giving out my number. I wasn't making friends. I wasn't passing time. I was just doing me. And it was so valuable, and it taught me so much about how to protect my energy, protect my peace, protect access to me, because I'm valuable and I can't just be out here dealing with anybody and making myself vulnerable to the affection and attention of just any person. And so you might actually want to think about having a season like that for yourself in your life. And don't think that your current season is any less valuable because of the absence of a partner. You have yourself, you have your friends, you have your family, you have God, you have enough people in your corner. You should know that you are single, but you are not alone, and your life has value right now where you're at. The last lie that we often believe about singleness is that we're weak for desiring a romantic relationship. And that is not true. Even though I just gave this whole pep talk about how we are sufficient by ourselves and our single season is not just a waiting period, that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with desiring a partner. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with being like, yeah, you know what? I have great friends. I have great family, but there's something that I want that I'm not getting from them. It's okay to recognize that. I know that affection and affirmation hits different coming from someone who you're romantically involved with as opposed to someone else in your life. And that's okay. I desire a relationship. I desire to be married one day. That is not weakness in and of itself. And feeling lonely and feeling impatient sometimes doesn't make you weak. Where your strength comes in is, are you able to decide that yes, I want this, but I'm willing to wait for it to come from the right person at the right time. And listen, we don't all have the strength to even do that sometimes. My season of singleness that I just told y'all about that was supposed to last a year, yeah, that lasted about 8 months because I met a guy and I was bored and I was lonely and I started engaging him and got into a whole emotional entanglement, and I had to regroup from that. And just what I said earlier about how that can turn into a damaging thing in your life, that man ended up becoming a distraction for the next 2 years and a source of drama for the next 2 years, all because I wanted to engage him because I was lonely over a summer. And so I just say that to say we all make mistakes. We all fall off our square. It just makes you human. It doesn't make you any weaker than anyone else. It makes you human. So give yourself grace and know that if you feel like you fell off, if you feel like you succumb to loneliness, if you feel like you are constantly feeling that desire, know that there's nothing wrong with you. And just decide to move in this season according to what you want for yourself for the long term, not just what you want in the moment. And find people to support you in that, because we definitely can't do it alone. So those are my 5 lies that we need to stop believing about singleness. They are: 1, I'm single because I'm not good enough. 2, the person I'm looking for doesn't exist or will never come into my life. 3, the person I want is coming into my life, but ain't nothing wrong with passing time on counterfeits. 4, my life isn't complete until I have a partner. And 5, I'm weak for desiring a relationship. None of those things are true. Set yourself free from those lies and thrive in your singleness. I hope that this video blessed you. I hope that it put something into perspective for you. I hope it gave you a much needed reminder. If you liked it, I hope that you thumbs up it. I hope you share it. I hope you subscribe to my channel and come back for new content. I am starting a new series in the first week of the new year called New Year, New View, and talking about how we can change our perspective to change our lives in 2021 and beyond. So I hope that you'll join me, and thanks so much for watching. Have a good one.